not having money was never a deterrent enough for me to say, I need to learn a trade or a skill set that I don't love just to make money, so I can continue to do some of the side stuff that I love, and I can continue to, I don't know, be a kid.
Mm-hmm. Quick question, man. Because at the time when you were in your early 20s, there wasn't like internet, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't social, right? For me, there was the internet. Like, there was less of a risk for me because I've seen people use the internet to do shit, to get stuff out there, to make money. But at that time for you, there wasn't an internet for that. So who were you looking at as like potentially a blueprint? Or were you just like, I'm going to go ahead, this is what I want to do, and there was no blueprint? Because like I had people who I was like, oh, they're doing this.
Christian Guzman.
There were people who were doing stuff.
Influencer type people.
Exactly. Like there were people who were coaches and doing stuff online, but I could still see, okay, they're doing well and there's a path to learn stuff to do this. For you, was there anybody you were looking at like, ooh, okay, I could do that?
I didn't realize it until way later on. I didn't realize it until I already did well and already made some money. But I had a girl interview me for a college paper, and she asked a similar question that was like that. And when I gave it more thought, I was like, my grandfather and my dad. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? So my grandfather had a used car lot, and he would fix up cars. And I remember as a kid seeing like it was called Shell Bell Auto. He had shirts, hats. He had like stickers and stuff. And
Shell Bell's supposed to be Sheldon Bell?
Yeah, Sheldon Bell. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Shell Bell Auto, and that was my my grandfather's name, and then he gave that name to my dad. But my dad hated it so much he just went by Mike. But anyway, I never even knew the word entrepreneur. I never knew what it meant. And as I got older, I remember that word swirling around. And to me, like at the time, it really just meant that you didn't have a job is what it used to mean. And then it turned into this like cool thing where I guess you can have your own job. But I didn't really realize it as a kid that my grandfather was an entrepreneur, because he is somebody that served in our military, and he's somebody that then went and worked for the railroad. So he worked for like systems, and he worked within the system and did stuff for the government and stuff like that. And then my dad did the same thing. My dad played a similar game. My dad went to college, and then he was with IBM for a really long time, and he got booted out on his ass when he was like 40 because he just like cost too much. And so they brought other people in. They could have 3 or 4 people work for the amount of money that he was making, type of deal. And then he just turned and started his own business. So my grandfather and my dad were people that didn't have conventional jobs. And my dad was somebody that I don't think he meant for all 3 of his sons to never have normal jobs, but he kind of taught us at a young age that you can kind of, you can follow your dream. You can do what you want. It might not be easy, it might take a long time. But Mike followed his dream of being a professional wrestler. Chris followed his dream of making movies, and I followed my dream of being a fat powerlifter.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, we love these fucking legendary tasty pastries, and you already know how good they are, but I want a hot tip for you. I want to give you a hot tip. Number 1.
Hot heat.
When you eat these things, 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of net carbs, put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. All right, we talked about how it can fit any single diet because it's high protein, very low carb. But if you put it in the microwave for 15 seconds, my fucking God, it will melt in your mouth. I highly suggest you could do this with any flavor, but if you can get your hands on the hot fudge sundae, oh, baby, Andrew, you're the one who put me on this shit, man.
Yes, seriously, you guys have to try this, but please do not microwave it for more than 15 seconds because the inside turns nuclear. But to me, this tastes like an old school chocolate donut for some reason. When you microwave it, it completely changes the flavor and it changes it for the better. But you guys got to head over to eatlegendary.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Again, that's at eatlegendary.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to this podcast.
Because you were around Louis Simmons so much and you watched him build a lot. Did that influence you quite a bit?
Yeah, that was huge. And Louis just had like endless amounts of like, he just gives stuff away all the time. People would come to the gym and they'd check it out. And he'd be like, you need this reverse hyper. Your back is, your back is terrible. And he would tell a guy or whatever. And Louis would be like, is that your truck right there? He's like, let's just load that in the back. And the guy's like, I can't afford. And he's like, I'm not charging you for it. He's like, you need this. It's going to change your life. I'll help you tie it down and everything. So he would pay for people's lunch and pay for people's breakfast. And he had the means to do so, obviously. I mean, you can't just,
Right.
you can't just like make it up, right? But he, I think because he was so generous, I think that's how he got to be so wealthy, because I think he was always that way. I think if he had a little extra, if he had the kind of guy, like if he had $20 in his pocket, he'd give you 10 of it. And he would be like, I'm going to be fine. Like the money's going to come back to me anyway.
He was also generous with information, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So he's always giving out information. And I saw the value of giving out free information, because Louis would also spend a lot of time with people. And he would, he would teach them a lot. And then the next thing you know, that guy would turn into being Buddy Morris, the Cleveland Browns strength coach. And then Buddy Morris would hold seminars, and Buddy Morris would have Coach House and Mark Uyama and James Smith. And like, it just started this kind of, Bill Walsh, his former football coach for the 49ers.
Why are you looking at me when you say
he has this giant tree of other amazing coaches beneath him, kind of the same as you saw with Bill Belichick and football coach, and Patriots.
American football.
Tom Brady, quarterback. Yeah. The guy gets to hike and throws a touchdown pass.
Since it's like the World Cup is going on right now, we should just refer to American football as American football, not football.
This brings up another topic, which is going to sidetrack us for a moment, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
A back squat.
Okay.
That's a CrossFit term.
It's a fucking CrossFit term.
Wait, where'd this come from? How did you guys both know this inside joke? What's going on here?
It's not really an inside joke. It's just fucking blasphemy to call it a back squat. It's a squat.
I personally have no idea where that came from, and
I think it came from Olympic lifting.
Okay, so I just know when we're around CrossFitters and they're talking about programming or something, they'll say blah 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 blah, and then we're gonna back squat, and I just remember being like, "What the fuck is a back squat?" And so I was just thinking maybe a step back lunge or something, and then one day I was like, "Oh, they just mean a squat."
You're right. I never call it a back squat.
No,
I never. Wow. That's fucking weird. So why did this hit you guys?
We need to have a whole entire podcast about this with Max Aida and Zach when they come. Zach Talander when he comes here as well, because it's a funny topic. My one of my friends is she loves CrossFit, and she was talking about a back squat, and my wife just looked at her. And my wife's like, listen, I can't handle this anymore. You always call it a back squat. And she's like, well, what is it? That's what it's called. It's called a back squat. She's like, I know my CrossFit. And Andy's like, that's the problem. It's just a squat.
When you type in back squat on Google, the first video that comes up is the back squat uploaded by CrossFit May 11th of 2015.
And that's some bullshit. That's some propaganda, people. It's just a squat. And then people are like, well, what about a body weight squat? It's like, well, it's called the air squat. And what about this squat? Well, that's a Bulgarian split squat or a front squat or a whatever.
So Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.